My name is Steve Mills. I work with FHI 360, an international non-government organization, and I'm a member of the International Organizing Committee for PMAC and have been one of the members of the committee that has helped to organize this very important session. I know you've heard probably in previous sessions that you've been to that you are now in the most important session of PMAC, but I can tell you truthfully now, you are in the most important session of PMAC. Why? Because I think we have all been hearing from different speakers, both in plenary and in some of the other parallel sessions, that long-term care for the elderly is lacking, it's needed, there needs to be innovative approaches, there needs to be financing for long-term care. In this session, you are going to be hearing on-the-ground innovations in long-term care. Not only will you hear about this, but you'll hear about it from a diverse set of countries, socioeconomic settings. And so I think this is really going to be a valuable session for you, first of all, to hear some of these approaches and then engage in a discussion with the panelists afterwards. I want to thank one person in particular for helping me to organize this session, and this is Seida Makamoto, who is with the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Seida, where are you now? Did you maybe leave already to bring more people to our session? She may have left, but she has been instrumental in helping me and others to organize this session. The other thing that I want to note, and I think you've heard this already, that the Japan Center for International Exchange every year has a Healthy Aging Prize for Asian innovation. You will actually be hearing from one of the past recipients of this prize, so stay tuned for that. But they also have a call for applications now for next year's prize. So I will be available and have one of these handouts for you to look at. And there's also, I believe, a QR code here that you can access if you happen to come from Asia and you want to submit an application for this prize. Also, because there are several other parallel sessions happening at the same time, Dr. Ritu Sedana from WHO, who leads much of WHO's work in long-term care. Unfortunately, she's in one of these other sessions, but she did want me to announce that WHO is releasing long-term care guidelines for countries, I think, any day now. So please stay tuned as well for those guidelines because they will have important lessons learned from countries that have already been implementing and for countries who are considering to implement further and scale up long-term care in their countries. So with that, I would like to turn the microphone over to the moderator for today. And this is Mr. Shintaro Nakamoto, who is a senior advisor in Social Security with the Japan International Cooperation Agency. So over to you, Shintaro.
Thank you very much, Steve, for introducing the session. And good morning and welcome to this important session. This is the only parallel session at PMAC this year that focuses on long-term care. So, as we all know, long-term care is expected to become a major challenge in low and middle-income countries that will experience rapid population aging in the coming years. This is due to changes in disease patterns as people live longer and to the growing need for care. It is also due to the shrinking size and declining capacity of families who have been traditionally the main caregivers. Long-term care is a fundamental need that allows people to live with dignity until the end of the life. At the same time, this is a highly complex area. It requires multidimensional efforts, including workforce development, financing, governance, coordination among service providers and support, and monitoring the quality of services. And long-term care is not only about those who receive care. It is also about supporting those who provide care, both paid and unpaid. And because unpaid caregiving often leads people, especially women, to leave a labor market, long-term care is also a labor market issue. However, despite its importance, long-term care remains an underserved policy area in many low and middle-income countries. It is still often seen as a family issue rather than a societal one. So, the question is, how can we elevate the policy priority of long-term care? Today, we are honored to have an excellent group of speakers who will share their experiences and perspectives from different angles. So, we have 5 speakers. They are from the left. First speaker is Dr. Hong-Soon Kim. Dr. Hong-Soon Kim is a professor of health policy and aging at the Graduate School of Public Health and director of the AI in Health and Health Care Center at Seoul National University, Republic of Korea. Her research focuses on aging and health policy, long-term care systems, health and care system performance, and care innovation. She has led numerous government-funded research projects and contributed to health and long-term care policy development at national and international levels, and currently serves as an expert member of WHO Advisory Group for the UN Decade of Healthy Aging, 2021 to 2030. The second speaker is Dr. Akoshua Ajeman. Dr. Akoshua Ajeman is a senior lecturer at the Department of Social Work, Center for Aging, University of Ghana, and a leading social gerontologist dedicated to advancing culturally grounded, community-based elder care across Africa. With over 37 years of experience, her teaching, research, and advocacy bridge academia and practice, influencing national aging policy and caregiver empowerment. Her work on healthy aging, environmental health, and intergenerational well-being continues to shape how aging is understood and supported in Ghana and beyond. The third speaker is Mr. Jenwit Wisot Songkram. Mr. Jenwit Wisot Songkram is the Deputy Director of the Foundation for Older Persons Development, FOPDEV, and CEO of Body Home Care Social Enterprise, based in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Formerly a software programmer, he transitioned into social development work focused on aging and older persons. He has over 17 years of experience since 2008 working on aging issues, including communication, policy advocacy, and public awareness for Thailand's aging society. In 2019, he founded the Body Home Care to train and employ underprivileged youth as caregivers, while providing affordable quality home care and volunteer-based support for older adults. Our fourth speaker is Dr. Katsuya Iijima. Dr. Katsuya Iijima is a medical doctor in geriatric medicine and professor and director in the Institute of Gerontology and Institute for Future Initiatives in the University of Tokyo. He also serves as a board member on numerous committees for national administrative bodies, such as the Cabinet Office and the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare. He has a couple of research themes, such as sarcopenia-related frailty prevention with well-being, population approach and high-risk approach in the healthcare field. and community-based integrated care system. And our last speaker is Dr. Marco Stampini. Dr. Marco Stampini is a lead specialist in social protection at the Inter-American Development Bank. His work focuses on the design, implementation, and evaluation of social protection strategies and projects, particularly in the area of long-term care. He is originally from Italy and holds a PhD in economics from the Santa Ana School of Advanced Studies. And in this session, after the speakers present their experiences and insights, I will pose one question to each speaker to draw out key points for further discussion. And then we will open the floor to your questions and comments. So this is how the session proceeds. And each speaker will have 10 minutes for their presentation. So for each speaker, I will appreciate it if you could kindly keep within the time. So let me invite the first speaker, Professor Hong-Soo Kim. So please come over to the podium. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Hong-Soo Kim from Seoul National University. Today, I'm honored to share South Korea's journey in striving to build a community-based integrated care system, a transformation driven by bold policy innovation and a human-centered approach to technology. As we look forward toward the future of global aging, we are not just building a service. I think South Korea exploring a new social infrastructure. Infrastructure for human flourishing. I think I must address the perfect storm hitting the Asia-Pacific region. Korea is now one of the world's fastest aging society, with the 65 population reaching around % this year, and projected to hit 40% more by 2050. The real crisis lies in the workforce gap. According to a 2025 report by the Presidential Commission on Aging Society and Population Policy, our 85 plus population will triple, requiring at least 1 million additional care workers by 2040. We are responding to this through two core strategies: building integrated care system and fostering digital innovation. While there are no well-established global model for this yet, but Korea aims to pioneer this policy and innovation experiment. To respond to this crisis, Korea is trying to lead a systematic transition aligned with the WHO Decade of Healthy Aging. We are aiming to shift from institutional silo to aging in place within the community. Crucially, South Korea aims to transition from human-only service to AI-enabled smart care, and from fragmented bureaucratic silos to people-centered multisectoral integration. This is our blueprint for a sustainable care economy. Policy requires a solid legal foundation. In March 2026, Korea will enforce the landmark Integrated Care Act. Disease registration provides the mandate to converge three vital pillars. First, medical and health services through multidisciplinary healthcare, including visiting physician service. Second, long-term and social care focused on preventing institutionalization and supporting AIP. And third, housing support, including care-safe housing and home modifications. By codifying these pillars, South Korea provide a stationary framework necessary to integrate service that have long been fragmented. Effective delivery requires collaborative governance. Korea is aligning the Ministry of Health and Welfare, which leads policy design, implementation, and financing, with the Ministry of Interior and Safety, which provides our nationwide administrative infrastructure. While other ministries cooperate, this partnership is central to making integrated care accessible at the local level. This synergy empower over 3,005 community centers in Korea, 동사무소, to act as the primary administrative hub, linking national level policy directly to the lives of citizens. Korea is also trying to establish integrated care ecosystem. The community center serves as the one-stop integrated support gate. Through this gateway, we are trying to link a massive network of public players, including national health insurance services and public health centers, with private hospital and social care providers. This is, I think, a bold and proactive social experiment in creating a unified journey for the older persons, supported by the National Social Security Information System. While the path is challenging, we believe it can no longer be delayed. As our organizer noted, Korea is implementing some of the significant AI system for home-based care. We aim to treat AI not as a gadget, but as a smart safety net. Representative AI systems are provided free of charge to lower-income community-dwelling elderly through public health and social service agencies. For instance, Hyodol 2000 version is a sophisticated social robot, provide 24-hour, 7-day monitoring and emotional engagement to over 12,000 elderly. Naver Global AI Care Core utilize hyperscale LLM for automated checkups. These systems have been actively implemented since the COVID-19 pandemic. Following various small-scale pilot projects across country, there is now a growing national discussion on institutionalizing these innovations as part of our formal care system. These AI platforms generated billions of lifelong log data points, offering insights into intrinsic capacity and frailty progression. However, the reality is that the data remains in silos. Private innovations on one side, fragmented public system on the other. So I believe our strategic imperative must be to build a robust data governance framework that ensure privacy and interoperability, turning raw data into evidence-based policy for early intervention. And also my proposal for the next step for South Korea is the value operating system. I envision a data convergence hub where traditional clinical data, for example, the comprehensive geriatric assessment and EMR, converged with new digital data, for example, biomarkers, digital biomarkers, and life logs. Supported by full life cycle R&D, this system can fulfill the WHO vision of optimizing functional ability. Ultimately, our policy and technology efforts must advance toward a value operating system where technologies serve human value. Defining those values remains our most, I think, important task, regardless of how far technology advances. Finally, we must fundamentally redefine aging. While aging presents social risks, by promoting healthy aging, I think we ensure dignity in later life for all elderly with long-term care needs. We must move from viewing aging as a social burden to a social contribution. By empowering older adults and family through policy and technology, we ensure a sustainable future where every citizen remains a valuable asset to our collective flourishing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Honsu, for your very informative presentation. So, next speaker is Dr. Akoshua Ajeman. So, I would like to invite Dr. Akoshua.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, thank you so much, Steve, for all the efforts to get me to this conference. And I think enough introduction has been done, and so I'll go straight to the reason why we are here. And so I'm going to look at people-centered long-term care, and I'm going to do this with the Ghanaian culture or Ghanaian type of long-term care in perspective. Now, in terms of the demographics, we have heard a lot about it, but just in short, when we talk of long-term care, we are looking at support that are given to those who need them. And here we are looking at the elderly population. And so if you look at global north, if you look at global south, population aging in terms of the elderly is increasing, more than 80% in sub-Saharan Africa. And Ghana is no exception. Our population in terms of the elderly is growing, and so all these population aging, the elderly will need care. And most of the care or the long-term care we give are traditional. And so our caregiving is deep-rooted in the family, community care, and so we're also going to look at the growing innovations that are existing as far as giving care is concerned. And so we'll look at the traditional foundations, the modern support systems, and then the integrated sustainable care as well. Again, the reality in Ghana, why Western models are not, succeeding. In Ghana, as I said, our long-term care is more or less traditional. And the population of the elderly, 60 years and above, in 2025 is 2.3 million. And by 2050, that will be 5.6 million, which is more than double. So this tells us that our population in terms of the elderly is growing. And all these people are going to need care. And so what is the care and the access? So several people are needing care, but the access is few. And as I said earlier, about 90% plus of the care that we give to older persons are informal, family-based, and community. Now, in terms of affordability, there's crisis there because we don't have the money to give the care that is needed to be given. And so government has also come out with some trying to help in a very minimal way So we have the LEAP, that is the cash transfer, which is about $28 to $46 dollars per month. And, it reaches about 30 to 40% of the people, not all of them. And so there's a problem. In terms of the private institutions or private organizations that are also trying to provide long-term care, we are borrowing from the West. And because we are borrowing, it's very expensive and it's private-based. And because of that, it's not succeeding. Financially, we cannot afford the charges. And so people are not able to go for that care. And if you look at our cultural expectations as well, culturally, we expect that you take care of your own older persons. And so if I send my older person to a home, it's like I'm abandoning that older person. They themselves wouldn't even want, they frown on it. But society is changing, and we need to do something about it. We cannot remain in the old time that we have been using this. We have to try as much as possible to change alongside the society that is changing. And so, culturally, it's not working because we frown on the institutional care. And 80 to 90% of care already from the family and community. And here, Africa will need about 6.1 million more health workers when we want to do the institutional, care. And so, if you look at Africa and Ghana, we do the Ubuntu, go by the Ubuntu-based elder care, which is rooted in the Ghanaian ethics of reciprocal obligation. And it holds that children care for aging parents in return for early caregiving. So guided by the philosophy of Ubuntu, I am because we are. And so I am who I am because of who we all are. And because of that, you wouldn't want your older person to go out of this circle for others to take care. And so, because of this, we emphasize the model of interconnectedness, compassion, and then collective responsibility. Now, care is primarily provided by an adult child, preferably a female, often a daughter, with support from siblings and extended family through financial and practical assistance. Grandchildren also offer companionship, while religious groups and neighbors provide social, spiritual, and practical support. And this is also culturally grounded in our beliefs and values. And so, if you come to contemporary family-based elder care system, they face growing pressure from social and economic change. Now, when you come to Ghana, we are more or less nuclear families. And I call them where 2 or 3 are gathered. So, my husband, myself, my 2 or 1 child. And so, when it's time for me to get help, it becomes very difficult. And so, here, they face growing pressure from social and economic change. Urbanization and migration is also separating adult children from aging parents, making daily care difficult or impossible. So economic hardship also limits families' capacity to support both children and dependent elders. Declining fertility means fewer siblings to share caregiving responsibilities, placing disproportionate strain on one caregiver, often a daughter. So one person, you stay at home, take care of our mother. We are also going out there to work and bring money. So a lot of people also give care at distance. And at the same time, there's also complex health conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, dementia that affects these older persons that they have to have care. So then, what is strengthening our care? So we need to strengthen the Ghana's care ecosystem, where community-based support systems remain essential to elder care in Ghana. Honestly, we don't have to replace it. We have to really improve the community elder care that we have now. Indigenous financial mechanisms such as Nobua in Chi, in my language. In Nobua means Susu, where we have a group of people and then maybe we contribute 1,000 baht to, and then we collect it in bulk and give it to one person, and gradually we move on. That is how in the local communities, that is what they do. So indigenous financial mechanisms such as Nobua and Susu provide informal loans and pooled contributions to help meet care-related expenses. So religious institutions also offer socialization, spiritual guidance, material assistance, and regular visitation. And traditional authorities, including chiefs and queen mothers, protect elders' rights and intervene in cases of neglect or abuse. Now we have semi-formal organizations, which is the NGOs, and such as Trent Seniors Haven in Ghana, Amrahia in Accra. We have HelpAge Ghana, we have Comfort for the Aged, we have Mame Nursing Home, and all these complement the efforts through day centers, volunteer home visits, social engagements, and then basic health screenings. And so you can see some of the health screenings in the pictures. Now, building a sustainable hybrid elder care system in Ghana requires integrating government initiatives, private sector services, and technology within existing family care structures. And so government innovations form the backbone of support. And here we have the Urban Elderly Welfare Card, which enhances dignity and mobility through transport discounts and priority access to services. And then the NHIS also ensures affordable health care for adults aged 70 and above through premium exemptions and immediate coverage, and LEAP provides cash transfers and health insurance to extremely poor, older persons or households. Now, then we have a formal institution, which is about 10 years in August. It will be 10 years in August this year. Now, which is the Center for Aging Studies. And it was established in 2016 so that it provides research, teaching, training for the young, because we cannot do this old age or aging business or the long-term care business without the support of the young ones. Because just as Albert said, old age is young people's problem. So it's me and you, our problem. Those who are already there, they are there. So what do? We have to bring them together. So that is what Center for Aging Studies does. And so, putting all together, this is how our long-term care, we build sustainable long-term care in Ghana, and it faces a lot of challenges, but we are trying to see whether we can surmount the challenges. So the family and the social erosion also are weakening the traditional caregiving. And so there are some strategic solutions anyway. So policy investment, and then also requesting that the aging policy that Ghana had should be implemented, so that when all these policies are implemented and we have a backbone, then we can collaborate with stakeholders to advance the cause of the long-term care in Africa. And here I have the Sankofa bird symbol, which is derived from an African proverb, Sewurefi now Sankofa yenchi, meaning which translates as, it is not wrong to go back for that which you have forgotten. And so let us come together as stakeholders and work towards a common goal to make long-term care in all the countries globally an effective and a successful one, because we are going to get there one day. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Akoshua, for your very inspiring presentation. So next, their speaker is Mr. Jenwit Wisot Songkram. So I would like to invite Kun Wisot, Kun Jenwit.
Good morning, sir. I'm very exciting because it's the first time in PMAC, and normally I just really little guy that work in the community, and really appreciate that we part of the PMAC conference today. So I'm proudly to present about my small work in up north of Thailand in Chiang Mai. So it's called Buddy Home Care. So this is the content in this slide. So we will cover about some statistical and also like the model of the long-term care in Thailand, the system in Thailand, and also like a cover about body home care and the impact that we create. Yep. So this is very general. I think along the week that you attend in PMAC, you will have this information, and you can also like easy to search from the internet and also ask AI. So AI will provide you every data and very like update. But this data comparing to my work back into 2010 is different. For example, the number of older people increasing. Back then in 2010, just only 10% of older people in Thailand. But right now it's more than like almost like 20%. So this is something that very fast, just only like 16 years. So I'm like is the witness with my eyes about this increasing it very rapidly. So the day that we get the information and try to develop the business model, the ratio of the active aging is 98%, and just only 2% is dependent or like the people need care. At that moment, we still face the situation that we shortage of the caregiver, and the family like support is also shrinking. So this is something that last 16 years ago we struggle, and even now the number is increasing, but the system is still like not ready. So it's very important that we need to do something, because of when we talk about long-term care, we try to develop the evidence base or the small pilot program. Every organization along this week, I visit many sessions. They showing up the good model of the scheme or initiative in small scale. Not one of the example able to like scaling into the country-wide or worldwide. So this is something that in my mind that why the long-term care is still long-term don't care. So this is something that a very long 16 years that I try to do is very difficult. So this is the stakeholder of the long-term care in Thailand. I think it's also similar to any other country in the world. So the main player or the main actor is the government. And in Thailand, luckily we have the universal health coverage, the scheme that able to let the people access to the health care. But anyway, it still be like a burden, and we also like able to forecast in the future is not able to cover. So this is something that not just the government need to do, but we also have another party like a private sector and also the community level. So I think many examples that I attend the seminar, they are in the corner of the community base, and not much to present about the private one. So in Thailand, if you are older people and you just only like assessment by the ADL or IADL, you will be judged that you need to have somebody to like support or help you. So this is also the perspective of the government. Sometimes, for example, if Dr. Kim and Dr. Chintaro is neighbor, Dr. Kim just only living alone in the house, but Dr. Chintaro have the family member. So maybe they just decide to visit only Dr. Kim not visit Dr. Shintaro, even the house is nearby. So this is something that our team don't appreciate that, because when you visit the older people, so they're living in the same context, they're living in the same area, so it should be have the same support that we cover. So many organizations try to do the good thing in the right corner of the community base or the CSO or the non-profit, but not many of them try to move or escalate or evolve their project to the other side, to the institution or to the private one. So we try to do that. Because of, you can see for the base of the payment, even the government try to subsidy or try to help by budget or scheme. But anyway, the main payer, the main paid for the home care is still be yourself and also your family member. So we start the volunteer-based home care. Actually, it's back into 2003. We do the pilot program, and we run the program in 2005 in Chiang Mai by one professor of my foundation, Professor Apasari. Right now, she almost 90, but last 25 year or 26 year, even she are very old, but she going to the community and ask for the community member how many older people need care here and where are they. And the criteria is not like any other reference. The criteria created by the community themselves. They just said why we need to give care or look after these older people. And then when we have the number, we have 219 older people need care in 35 community in municipal area of Chiang Mai. So the neighbor just only raised their hand that, okay, for this one, I would like to support because of when I was young, this grandfather helped me fix the bicycle. This grandmother cooking me a food, some kind like that. This is something that they would like to return back. So the ratio of one volunteer to other people is ratio is good, and it's unpaid volunteer. But we still support them as the community budget, because think about a unit cost of 219. In average, we spend the money around $10 per person per month. So if we calculate this back, it's around in Thai baht, it's around 850,000 Thai baht or 900,000 Thai baht per year. So after the project ends, so we unable to continue, but we try to find the jigsaw to help. Like I said, the long-term care, but it's still long-term don't care. So this is the model that we already have. We have the volunteer, but the volunteer don't want to work as the social enterprise. So we try to find another opportunity. We provide the scholarship for the younger people and use the market mechanism to help this able to continue. And then we able to provide back to the social with the budget or the profit from the social enterprise. So, and we topping up with the technology. We have the application, use AI to do the care plan and maintain the quality. This is the buddy home care. So I still have impact and policy recommendation, but we can talk this in the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jenrit, for sharing the very innovative approach. Thank you very much. So next speaker is Dr. Katsuya Iijima. I would like to invite Professor Katsuya. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me and introducing me as Chairman, Mr. Nakamura. And hello, everyone. So my name is Katsuya Iijima from the University of Tokyo. I'm a director in the Institute of Gerontology. And then, so today, so I want to talk about the title is Community-Led Frailty Prevention in Japan. Empowering older adults for healthy and active aging. So I'm a medical doctor, a professional staff. So I know the importance of high-risk approach. So today, so I want to emphasize the importance of the population approach. Okay, so first of all, so I would like to show the background in Japan. First one, so globally, so life expectancy is rising, and especially in East Asia, including Japan as well. And second one, so we have a huge gap between the average life expectancy and healthy life expectancy is remained about the average 10 years. And then Japanese government has launched two policies. First one, long-term care insurance system in 2000 and community-based integrated care system. So with this background, so I think it will be necessary to reinforce, strengthen the system for frailty prevention with well-being and measure against isolation. So I can show you this slide. So evidence-based 3 key points for preventing the sarcopenia-related frailty. So now, so I would like to cultivate the preventive awareness from the earlier stage and behavioral change. So first one, so nutrition. This first factor, nutrition, includes diet and oral function. So I have already launched the new concept of oral frailty, new concept. And second factor is a physical activity. So this second factor includes 2 points. First one is exercise, and second one is social daily activity. It means social daily activity is non-exercise activity in their life. And final one, third one is social participation. So such as employment, leisure activities, volunteering, eating together, and countermeasures against isolation in gathering place. In this slide, I would like to emphasize the importance of the we have to actions as a trinity. And then, so I have already developed the new fundamental system about peer support activity. So you can show you this slide. So senior resident volunteers led frailty prevention program system with well-being and ikigai in Japanese. You can see, so senior residents can run together and measure a couple of frailty characters together and notice together and enhance each other. And then, so this slide shows the resident volunteers nationwide united with sharing same purpose. So I have already launched the new alliance network of resident-led peer support activity in Japan nationwide. So the senior resident wearing the same color uniform light green t-shirts. And then, so I can show you the couple of photographs and short movies. For example, so this photo is a frailty prevention for students by a student in Chiba prefectures. And then, so this activity, senior legend-led activity should be required. There's a couple of points. First one is enjoying themselves while becoming aware of your own state. Second one is a comfortable place to recharge with all smiles. And third one is support and encourage each other. And the final one is strengthening their bond while growing healthier. So I can show you the they are enjoying using the esports game, dynamic game. And please, second short movie. Sorry. So please, second short movie. Yes.
2歳の竹内さん、なんかね、本当は80-20っていう運動があるんですけど、80歳で20本を残しましょうっていう歯の運動があるんですけど、ちょっと津田さんはそこだけはちょっとダメだったかなと思うんですけど、5本しかないということですけど、竹内さんは全部自分の歯だそうです。マイクね。じゃあみんなでやるのね。で、肩からも皆さんで10回どうでしょうか。じゃあせーの。
Okay, so they're enjoying the oral frailty prevention program. Yes. Okay, so this slide shows one-site delivery lectures by resident supporters to elementary school and high school students. And then, so this slide shows frailty prevention supporters can be anyone regardless of disability. For example, use a wheelchair and walking with a cane and have hearing loss, and your age is in 90s or over 100. So it means everyone is a teammate, one team, united as one. And then, so not only receiving support care, but also becoming the one who supports students. So finally, so I have already developed the new evidence. So this usefulness of resident-led frailty prevention activity to reduce the cost of long-term care benefits. So as you can see in the left panel, so I compared between two groups. Participating this program group and non-participation group. And then, so in the left panel, so new certification of need for long-term care after participation is frailty prevention activity. So shows risk minus 13%. And as you can see in the right panel, so I can show you the reduction in annual long-term care benefits cost after activity participation during a follow-up of 7 years period. So it's a final slide. Today, so I talked about the community-led frailty prevention in Japan. empowering older adults for healthy and active aging. So finally, I would like to emphasize the 3 points. First one is a bond among comrades nationwide. Let's strive towards the same achieved goals and the common values across the country. Second one is cultivating the foundation of self-help and mutual help. And final one is healthy and active aging and well-being purpose in life. And ikigai in Japanese through contribution to community and others. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Katsuya Iijima, for sharing the very impressive activities in Japan. So our last presenter, the speaker, is Dr. Marco Stampini. So I would like to invite Dr. Marco. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank the organizers and JICA for inviting me to share the work that we as Inter-American Development Bank, which is the regional development bank for Latin America and the Caribbean, are supporting in some countries in which we work. So the number, okay, so this is not, this presentation we had produced also with the PDF that didn't convert the numbers into something else. So I don't know if you want to change it or if I should go ahead like this, but okay. There were 8 million older people that required care for daily activities in 2020, and this number is going to triple to 23 million by 2050. And the coverage of public long-term care services is low. In some countries like Costa Rica and Argentina, it reaches 20%, but in most countries of Latin America and the Caribbean, it's nearly zero. So most of the care burden falls on families, and we've spent quite a bit of time studying caregivers through time use surveys, through household and labor force surveys, and also we've been running for over 2 years an online service of caregivers that collected over 65,000 answers. Now, we know there are 25 million unpaid caregivers, 60% are women, and their work comes with lots of consequences, like a drop in paid work, 8 percentage points less likely than other peer women that don't have care responsibilities. 55% report loneliness, 34% symptoms of depression. Now, there are also 3 million paid caregivers, 95% women, and not a lot of migrants, unlike in other regions of the world, and their work is difficult. Only 26% have access to Social Security, and the median caregiver earns less than the minimum wage. Now, training is lacking. I give you just one number. Among caregivers that are paid and work in institutional settings, only 1 out of 3 has done a course of at least 150 hours of training. And that's a problem because we know that training actually is related with better jobs and with better well-being of caregivers and also care recipients. So now I would like to go to what the countries are doing to address these problems. Countries are taking action, and actually, apologies for the slides, but this is supposed to say that countries of the region are actually starting to create care systems, and differently from other regions of the world, they are not an initiative of the healthcare sector. They are typically driven by ministries of social development or ministries of women. There is a lot of gender equality agenda and a feminist agenda behind the creation of care systems in Latin America and the Caribbean. And these care systems actually span all over the life cycle. Also, childcare is part of care systems. And actually, long-term care is not the part that receives most attention or most funding with these care systems. I want to show you 4 examples of programs that I hope will give you some food for thought and maybe some ideas that could be relevant for your future work. First one is the program Care Communities in the Dominican Republic. What makes this program unique? It's an initiative of the Ministry of Economy and Planning, and it tries to see the development of care as a way out of poverty. So the target population of this program are the families that are beneficiaries of the conditional cash transfer program. And among those families, some people sign up to become caregivers and receive professional training. Now they are united in a cooperative that also the government helps support and create. And this cooperative provides services paid by the state to other families of the same cash transfer programs. And so some people get a job and other people get a liberation of time, freedom of time within the families, and maybe can go out work. And also, this cooperative can sell services in the market to middle income or high income families and try to become more self-sustainable. Now, what is the problem of this type of home care? It is intensive, it is expensive, is for people that require care the most. But it's a bit difficult for governments to sustain, and it is relatively less visible in the communities, and so it has less political visibility for governments. And so many countries are now moving towards community programs. And the first community program I want to describe is a flagship program that is very famous, at least in Latin America and the Caribbean. It's called Care Blocks, and it's run by the government of Bogota, the capital city of Colombia. It's called Manzanas del Cuidado. And so in neighborhoods or blocks, there are some community infrastructures that were pre-existing, sometimes belonging to social development or Secretariat of Women or Secretariat of Health. And within these blocks, there's now some care services maybe pre-existed. For example, the lowest picture is a day center called Golden Years. 50 older people go every day. Older people can go only 1 time per week. And then they can go back every afternoon to some recreational activities like dancing that have also some prevention function. But these care blocks have a lot of relevance given to the time of the caregivers. And so there are services that at the beginning I found also a bit strange to consider. For example, the middle picture is laundry services. So families can go there with their laundry, they leave it, and the services is provided to them. Maybe the older person goes to the day center, and the family caregiver now has time to spend either for social participation, leisure, but also for some training. And this training is provided in these care blocks. There are about 30 care blocks in the city of Bogota. Something similar is happening in Mexico. It's a day center community intervention. In this case, it's the Mexican Institute of Social Security that is running some centers where people go for recreational activities. They have 1,200 of these centers, but in 7 of them, they've started a more structured program in which older people receive physical stimulation, cognitive stimulation, social connections, and emotional care. And the interesting thing of this is that only the structure and 1 social worker are provided by the Institute, and the rest is done by trained volunteers. These are people that started as users, they became instructors, and now can replicate this model also in other contexts. Finally, I would like to talk about caregiver registries that are growing in Latin America and the Caribbean. In some cases, these are for family caregivers. They are invited to enroll, so they make their work visible. They receive some benefits, some training, in some cases also a cash transfer. But we are also helping bring an innovation that comes from startups and the private sector to governments to create registries of paid caregivers. So governments make calls, paid caregivers register, they received some training, and now they are in a platform that is a job matching platform. So this is very important to try to de-atomize a market in which millions of people are working as domestic workers. They are not trained as caregivers, but they are doing caregiving job. And so try to make them emerge and help them find better job. We are replicating this also in Brazil now. It has been done in Argentina. So to wrap up, 3 trends: moving towards community day centers, even more based on prevention than on people with very high care needs. Second, caregiver registries to try to de-atomize the market and maybe also help these people move from individual provision to cooperatives or other associations. And finally, try to get all the innovation that you can from the private sector, because there are many interesting things that are already happening beyond what countries can support with funding and that can improve the provision of public services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco, for sharing the very interesting initiatives in the Latin America and the Caribbean countries, which is one of the most rapidly aging regions in the world. Okay, so thank you very much to all speakers for sharing your valuable experiences and insights. So I would now like to ask one question to each of the 5 speakers. And after we complete this round, I will open the floor to the questions and comments from the audience. So for those who wish to speak, please hold on just a little bit longer. Okay? Okay, so now let me start with Dr. Honsu. So Honsu, your presentation highlighted the promotion of the community-based integrated care in Korea using technology, especially AI. And you showed how AI is expanding the possibilities of aging in place and how the government is actively supporting their private sector initiatives or innovations, including through financing. So this helped us understand Korea's strong public-private, their commitment in this field. So my question is about the utilization of the technology. So what mechanism or initiatives do you think are necessary to maximize the effectiveness of technology or AI in preventive care?
Thanks for the question. I think in one word or one sentence, I think developing ecosystem is very important. That's the one word. And the first thing before going a couple of important mechanism items, but I think we need some vision and new imagination of how to reform or make a new initiative in the long-term care policy and system innovation issue, because all of you in this room, I think, is very enthusiastic and committed to long-term care research and policy. But as the other speaker mentioned, it's a long-term don't care, because it's very important. We all agree, but never be on the policy table. All other important health and care health policies may be moving forward. Long-term care sometimes behind, but in South Korea, and including me and some other people, we really believe we need this time. We have to do something different. So still, there's a debate about AI and innovation, but I think, and it's just some commitment and try to new way of thinking to make some difference. That's I think, all the background of this new initiative happening in Korea. And in terms of mechanism, I think the first thing is very important is a public-private trust framework. I think governance really matters, because traditionally we all very familiar with the PPP, private-public partnership, but this time AI or the new technology really, the innovation pretty much belong to the private sector So now the traditional PPP, the way of we have been thinking has to be totally changed. But the new governance and how we work together is very important. And also the central governance and local and even the field work, if each level of partner and stakeholder has also very different needs and perspective of this. So the new way of governance, making private, public, and local, national at the field level, whole new governance development is very important. And second part is, I think, systematic interoperability, because of course we have to starting with the pilot. A lot of pilot happen over 3-4 years in Korea. As I mentioned, every local government and some agents tried something in Korea. And they also have some good evidence, they say. But it's all kind of still silo. Data is not integrated. Small evidence here and there. So we need some architecture mind, have to think about how to make a big blueprint, where we want to go, some planning, and make system interoperable at the very beginning. That's very important to make system more efficient and also make the innovation in a very efficient way. Lastly, I think the clinical digital convergence, because anyway, technology, what we really want to do is real impact for human being and older people, family, and care workers. So technical innovation one thing, but how we really make that the potential make a real impact for their life and their well-being. That's the other one, but this is quite ambitious one. Usually when I'm working with the engineer and their expert, they really don't think that much about that. That implementation, the pathway pretty tough, but I think we are the expert at part, so good translation for different people with using different language, but that's the goal we want to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. And you mentioned the ecosystem and working together, the technology people and the people taking care of social aspect. Thank you very much. So next, I would like to ask Dr. Akosua. Your presentation introduced long-term care for older adults in Africa, particularly in Ghana. And you explained that all the long-term care is still largely provided by families with adult children as a primary caregivers. And at the same time, urbanization and declining fertility, informal care is becoming more and more difficult. So you also described new approaches that build on existing community support systems, organize them more formally, and incorporate technology. So my question is about the coordination among these different actors. The multisectoral approach you described, family, NGOs, and faith-based organizations, and government, and health system, working together, sounds ideal. But coordination is often the greatest challenge. So what concrete mechanisms or initiatives would you recommend for strengthening coordination among these diverse actors?
Thank you very much for the question. In our part of the world, as I said, long-term care basically is by the family. And currently, NGOs are coming in, philanthropists are coming in. Now, education-wise, we've also been trying to, train young ones to be interested in the aging studies and aging process. So together we can bring innovations, we can bring change to the traditional family system that exists. And as I said earlier, we don't have to replace the long-term care that is given by families, but rather up it up a little bit so we can have this older person can have a bit more relief as the person progresses in aging. Now, how should we do this? This can be done by the community leading. So the chiefs and his people in the community, they are the custodians of tradition. And so if there are some barbaric traditions, they can be able to help take it out so that it can pave way for people to come in to help as far as long-term care is concerned. So for example, if an older person, basically the women, are branded witches, there are some sanctions that the community leader or the chief or the paramount chief of the community can preside over and say that, hey, this is not good. And so then that cannot be perpetuated on that older person. And again, health workers, we can train locally, not necessarily they going to big schools, but then locally they can be trained as to how they can even apply, these traditional herbal medications at that level so that if there's any problem, they can give first-hand, care before that older person is sent to a proper health facility. Now we have the CHIPS compounds also in our communities, where the community members, the community health nurses that also help in taking care of these older persons. Then in terms of the NGOs are doing wonderfully well when it comes to long-term care, but at what level? And then also, it's costly when you take the meager income of this older person into consideration. And so if the government can come in, the government already is doing some bits and pieces, of long-term care, providing policies and programs like the LEAP I mentioned, financing, and then the NHIS and so on and so forth. But if this can be put together at the local levels, because the cocoa farmer might not be able to earn retirement package. And so how does he take care of himself or herself when he's on retirement? And so these are some of the things that they need to do: collaborative work, training. We can train, the nurses, we can train individuals, caregivers, and then also take good care of the caregivers themselves, motivate them to be able to take care. And so having town hall meetings, community-led meetings, training programs like this, conferences, just so we can push the long-term care agenda forward. And lastly, maybe the government can also inform a policy by defining curriculum, putting this aging thing in the curriculum at the lowest level, where the children can learn from the beginning, from the basic level to the secondary school and then to the university, so that at the end of the day, when they grow up, they also know how these things are done and be able to take care, so that if my older mother is talking because he's old and is going through all the menopausal signs, no one will, beat her that she's a witch. I have a video on the initial presentation but because of time, we couldn't show. So these are some of the things. So collaboration, putting everything together, technology, formal and informal ways, meetings and training. Together, we can push the agenda forward. Thank you very much.
Very much for sharing your thoughts, and it's very interesting that you mentioned the community leaders and training their local people and also involving the younger generation as well, and technology, of course. Thank you very much. And next question goes to the Kun Jambit. You presented a very impressive model in northern Thailand where ethnic minority youth are trained as caregivers and provide a professional home-based care for all the adults, creating a financially sustainable business that offers care for all the adults and also their employment opportunities for the younger people. So my question is your business model. So what has been the most important thing for you when starting and managing this social business model?
Actually, thank you, Dr. Shintaro, that to explain about the business model. I think the audience not follow when I present, because actually it's my simulation. Because of it's 10 minutes to present, and I paused very long in the like very first of the slide, very similar to any initiative. We do many things in the early too much, but the time is not enough for us to complete our job. So right now, I just only have 10 years before I turn to be the older people. Even I try to do it very long time, it still don't have the system to support me in the future. So this is something that right now is very difficult. When we would like to do something very new, it's very difficult to make people understand what you would like to do. I basically, I'm background of the programmer. I worked for computer program for 12 years. And then one day I found the foundation and I changed mindset and would like to support the foundation. I resigned from the computer program and then work in foundation. The way that foundation work and me work in the business sector, totally different. Very difficult to change the mindset of the team to make the sustainable way of the project of the work. I took 8 or 9 years until we can change them to initiative the social enterprise. And then when we initiative the social enterprise, it's very difficult to explain to our donor because normally we run at the non-profit. And then when right now we would like to make profit, so they have the question. Because of this is something that if we just wait for everything ready, we are unable to do something. So that means the difficult way is try to do in the small scale first to prove it able to do. For example, Body Home Care run at the social enterprise. We provide the scholarship for Hill Tribe people because of many other organizations try to use technology only or even try to reduce the cost of the people. But the manpower in Thailand, we have a lot of people don't have a job. People don't have a better quality of life. How we can balance to help them to access to the good job. So this is something that in Thailand we have shortage of the caregiver. Why we not encourage the people to work as the health workforce? Very difficult because of it's also the low income from work as very hard. And right now, every private sector and company would love to migrate or change into the AI, robot, or any other system. But people need communicate with people. So this is something that we try to highlight the good relationship or the good vibe of the Hill Tribe people that still have the way to support or respect other people. So we use that good opportunity to provide the skill and train them. After that, after we prove, we still struggle with the world change very fast. The increased number, the need of care, but the economic is also totally different, upside down, because people are unable to pay. So that's why the Body Home Care positioning ourselves to provide support to middle class. Because of if you rich enough, you can access to the service, very expensive, premium one. And if you poor enough, you will get the free support from the government, from the non-profit, from any other. But the middle class is one, the group that marginalized people don't have the opportunity. So that's why we're setting up some standard that we able to provide the quality care by the marginalized Hill Tribe people, that we can build their capacity and can help for the economic of Thailand to provide this support for the elderly people and the working age able to continue to do their work, to do something for our economic. So very difficult, but I try to simulate in 10 minutes that I present, and the very important thing is in the last slide, but the audience did not get it. But you can access to the database of the PMAC. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Janbit, for sharing your experiences and very valuable lessons. Okay, so next question is for the Dr. Katsuya. And your presentation focused on the resident-led frailty prevention and initiatives in Japan, including the active participation of all the adults. So my question is about what's happening in Japan. So why is Japan promoting resident-led initiatives now, and what lessons can other rapidly aging countries learn from this trend?
Okay, thank you very much for the very important question. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, so we have to reinforce the two kinds of healthcare strategies. First one is a high-risk approach and population approach. So, so far, Japanese government has already strengthened them, reinforced the social security system, including healthcare insurance and long-term care insurance. And then, so regarding long-term care insurance, regarding public assistance, it means government support. So I think this level of support is maybe generous and utmost. And then consequently, so social security cost is gradually rising. And on the other hand, so in the long-term care system, so care prevention, the field of care prevention is also has been promoted. However, so I think so we have to provide a good result more in this field of care prevention. So because I think that's why nation tend to depend on the public assistance. And then, so to sustain the independence for as long as possible, so I think nations themselves need to recognize the importance of improving their physical function and the importance of sociability. And then, so our professional staff and government staff should be required to trust the capability of community-led action. And finally, so I'd like to emphasize again, so we have to promote the voluntary and the proactive resident-led initiative more, leading to enhance well-being and ikigai. And I'm sorry, so in addition, sustainability and continuity, this community-led activity is very, very important factor. And then, so I think it is necessary to foster the atmosphere where the participating residents can feel comfortable and enjoy and well-being. For example, positive emotions and engagement and good relationship and meaning and accomplishment and so on.
Okay,
you.
thank you very much for sharing your experience. And I could feel the very comfortable atmosphere from the video. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so lastly, the question to Marco. So my question is about financing. So you mentioned the future directions for caregiving include a collaboration with the private sector. So does this imply that financing for the care of older adults with high care needs will rely mainly on private sectors? So what the implication that their partnership with the private sector has?
Okay. So even if the government was paying for all the services, in many cases the services would be provided by private sector actors. I mean, this is a reality, for example, in Europe. And also the government is never going to cover all the care needs. And there is a lot of role that the government has in regulating the services that the private sector is providing in the market. So the government has a very important role. And for example, I always argue that governments should start working on long-term care even when they don't want to finance services, because they have a role in setting the standards for quality, in supervising that quality standards, and also in enforcing some type of establishing what is the right training for caregivers. You could be a rich person in a high-income country and not find good quality caregivers, because a lot of the idea is that caregivers have a task-based training. So I teach you how to give a medicine or to lift an older person, but there is a whole movement now in trying to shift towards person-centered care and participation and respect of intimacy and listening to the older person and do things more slowly, allowing them to participate. So the role of the government is very important. Now, that said, in Latin America and the Caribbean, almost no country has a long-term care insurance scheme. It does not exist. Informality in labor, as we heard yesterday, is very high. So even if you had an insurance scheme, most population would be left out. So countries are doing long-term care limited, but with general taxation. And that part of general taxation very often ends up covering only the population that is economically more vulnerable. So some countries that started with general taxation are now looking at some kind of either earmarked tax revenue or some insurance scheme to try to provide services to the middle class that maybe has a possibility to contribute and get ready for their care needs.
Thank you much for sharing your thoughts. Financing is always a very difficult part of the long-term care, and thank you very much for sharing the experiences. So I will now open the floor for the questions and comments from the audience. So if you have a question or comment, please raise your hand or indicate it to the staff. Okay, so gentleman there.
Thank you. I think it was Mark Twain who said, "The news of my death have been greatly exaggerated." And I feel that sometimes when talking about care, we minimize the role of families, even in high-income countries or in countries with a very reduced total fertility rate, like Korea, Japan, China, Thailand even, no? So my question is specifically, one question to Japan, Korea. In the long-term strategies, how do you envision the role of families? Because in my personal experience, I can see friends in Korea who are very much taking care of their families, no, within their system. Likewise in Japan. So I think there is a too quick dismiss of the family roles and the family potentials. As Professor Acoso mentioned in Ghana. You know, it is not a matter of dismissing, it is a matter of improving the potential of families. No? In Singapore, for example, with very low, very high dependency, what we call dependency rate of older people, has policies, for example, of allocating housing by vicinity, close by, between parents and children, because there is still a role for families. So that's my first question. And families, don't forget, families are motivated by reciprocity, by love, and that does not disappear. So the key thing is how to develop long-term care strategies that consider not only the lowest level of family care to the most sophisticated technological improvements like we can see in Korea, Japan, or China. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. They are raising a very important issue that which is the role of the family. So you talked about the East Asian countries. So Korea. So can I ask, for a response?
Thank you so much for the question. It's very important. I think in South Korea, we try to make a balance, reducing caregiver burden of family, at the same time, supporting informal caregiver. So the long-term care insurance and social service try to support decreasing burden. So financing some respite care, other things going on. So like a 15%, broadly speaking, I think now social care and long-term care units cover like a 15% of older people covered by that insurance and social support. So they have much less burden for financing care for older people. At the same time, we try to promote family caregiving because never ever formal system can cover all the needs, and also you mentioned family knows better than the informal or family caregiver may better than formal care support. So it's a little bit the two sides of a coin, but at the same time we try to keep promoting elderly people living with family in the community long time. But at the same time, we expect like 20-30% more older adults living alone or by couple only. Time goes on because the family supporting model is unfortunately or fortunately not anymore that popular in Korea. Older people very concerned about there would be burden for family, and often they are not getting together. They live remotely. So we try to make the balance, reducing burden at the same time. If you want to keep your family caregiving, we try to support them. So try to balance the both part of policy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Hong-Soo. I would like to take as many as the questions and comments possible. So let me go to the next question. Okay, so please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. I'm Anna. I'm a PhD student and a research associate at the National University of Singapore, School of Public Health. And my question is, we often speak about community-led social networks in long-term care as a potential backbone and solution. However, sustaining them is a real challenge, especially that there's no proper inflow of money. So my question is, what system or policy shifts are needed in your context to sustain these community-led social networks without relying so much on unpaid care, especially that we know that unpaid care exposes more vulnerabilities to certain demographics. So what policy shift is needed?
Okay, thank you very much for raising the very important issue, which is about supporting policy support for the community-led initiative. So maybe I would like to ask that question to Marco.
Actually, I thought you would be best placed to answer this question. I think actually there are not. Latin America and the Caribbean is not the region that should give example of how to sustain community interventions. Everybody's trying to learn from the experience of Japan, for example, You cannot create community intervention where the community does not want to do it. So it's kind of a long process to build it. My intuition is that you need to have also some kind of money flowing to the organization that provide the services. And so it should be part of a general funding scheme in which instead of funding a specific service, you earmark part of the general budget for these community organizations, and then also to have some kind of structure to verify the quality of the services provided by these community interventions. Very often, in the region where I work, it almost appears that when people want to do community interventions or they want to increase the role of the family, is because they really don't have the budget to provide services. So you need probably to come up with some budget and some supervision scheme also for these initiatives to grow.
Thank you very much for responding to that very important question. And any other question or comment? Okay, so yes, please.
Thank you. Steve Mills again from FHI 360. My question is for Dr. Hong-Soo Kim, because I think you spoke the most about AI applications. And I think all of us in this room, we're hearing in virtually every session about the promises, but sometimes the difficulties and challenges of AI. You presented how in Korea, it seems like it's really starting to be used for long-term care, specifically to help individuals in their home, reducing accidents. I know you didn't have a lot of time to explain it, but I think my question is, especially the elderly, they're often very hesitant to use AI, digital technologies. How have you made AI more user-friendly so that people want to use this in their home? Thank you.
Okay, good question. I think it's a little surprise. You may also have the shared feeling with me, because South Korea, we studied AI for the most vulnerable population first. As I mentioned, the lower income, living alone elderly. We started applying that as a social safety net. So the surprise is the acceptance is not that bad. The two applications I mentioned before, social robot and AI care call. The AI care call through just the usual phone call. So you just take a phone. There's nothing older adults don't need to do. But AI talk. So, but those older lower income elderly, usually nobody visit, nobody make any call whole day. They usually living alone. So surprisingly, many of them is pretty well accepted. Some are so skeptical, others a little more enthusiastic, others are just okay. But from my research, about 10,000 more, 1,000 more people using that 3-month experiment. Almost 95% more receiving the call regularly. Very small proportion of people just drop, they don't want to do, but pretty well received compared to my usual other geriatric intervention. Drop out, you all know, very high. But this time it's pretty well received, so it's my surprise. And other thing is, if we move this more forward to broader population, or what I also found, the rich, more educated population, they less interested about AI intervention because they have lots of research, real human people. So if we scale up this approach from lower vulnerable population to general older people, I think we more tailor the service to personalized way, I think.
Thank you very much for responding to the very important question. So if there's no urgent question or comment, I would like to ask to each presenter, each speaker, to share your takeaway for the audience. Okay. So there are about 6 minutes left. So you each have the 1 minute to share your takeaway. So start, from the last speaker.
Okay, so maybe this is as I said, in the region where I work, this is growing as a new pillar of social protection. It's not growing in the ministries that are strongest financially, and therefore there is a risk that this becomes kind of policy and service for the population living in poverty and vulnerability. And one of the challenges is to try to create an integrated services together with healthcare sector. And so far, there is very limited success in having the healthcare sector and the long-term care services work together. So despite the fact that the Pan American Health Organization has approved a policy to mandate ministry of, or invite ministries of health to work in this sector, it still remains a very fragmented policy and very often a weak policy. But there is a momentum, there is growing interest driven by population growth. And maybe one idea is that also within this gender equality agenda, countries are noticing that if we don't solve the problem of care within the family, it's also impossible to address the issue of low natality. And so this becomes a very strategic area of work in which we are putting growing efforts.
Thank you very much. So next, Professor Katsuya.
Okay, thank you. So today, I emphasize the importance of two ways, high-risk approach and population approach. And then, now I'm worried the problem of care prevention strategy in Japan, because care prevention approach strategies in Japan tend to be focusing on the physical function only, but not the well-being and the meaning of care prevention approach. So now I think we have to reinforce the care prevention approach, and we have to trust the capability of community-led activity more. And then, so now I'm challenging that it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Katsuya. So next,
So for me, I try to do policy advocacy many years that try to let government adopt some idea of the social enterprise and the community-based care, but subsidized by the government or the universal health coverage. Because right now most of the budget is for like a cure, but it's not for prevention. Even the prevention way is still like do the small pilot program. So, but if the policy is not like ready, so we need to find another tool along the time that we need to wait for the policy change. So that means the social enterprise way is one opportunity, but it's not fit to all community to do the social enterprise. So that means you can also run as the program very similar that you do, but you need to find the replacement fund, not just only from the project. For example, luckily in Thailand we have the law of the social enterprise that able to deduct the tax. So that means people would like to donate to the society to do the long-term care and use that receipt from body home care to deduct the tax.
Okay,
so maybe this is something that you can try to find a way to suit your country.
Okay, thank you very much. So next, the Akoshiro-san, the 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. Well, I am of the view that societies across the globe can redefine care as holistic, community-led support beyond the family, and then also incorporating state and NGO rules to counter urbanization, especially when it comes to Africa. That is eroding reciprocity. And so reciprocity is key, and therefore if your older person took care of you to grow your teeth, it's very imperative that you also take care of him or her to lose his or her teeth. And I think when we do that, people will survive to far old age and they will live, happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So last.
Yeah, make a short. Thank you very much for today's all the presentation. I learned a lot. We have the share the same policy challenge, but every single region or country, cities try to their own way to overcome that issue. So I learned a lot, and community-based preventive care is very important, the common theme, and all the efforts I hope to make a good fruit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So to all speakers, thank you very much for your rich contribution, and thank you for the audience for the participation. So this concludes the session, and please join me in giving a big hand again to the speakers.